My sister called me early in the morning and sounded both excited and nervous, as if she had something very important to share that could not wait for later in the day. She explained that she had made a wedding gift list and wanted me to be the first person to see it because she trusted my opinion more than anyone else in her life. I listened carefully as she began to read the list aloud, and I felt my eyebrows raise slightly when she mentioned a car as the first item on her carefully curated selection. Before I could respond, she added that she expected an apartment next, and then immediately listed several designer bags she hoped to receive, which made me pause for a moment to process the enormity of her requests. I realized that I needed to stay calm and thoughtful because reacting impulsively could hurt her feelings and cause unnecessary tension between us. I asked her gently why she thought asking for such expensive gifts was a good idea and tried to understand her perspective without judgment. She laughed nervously and explained that among her friends this kind of bold list had become almost a tradition, and she wanted to participate in the same playful spirit. Even though I understood the context, I felt compelled to share my perspective because I knew that gifts were not meant to measure love or affection. I took a deep breath and began to tell her that material items like cars and apartments could wait, and that the most important part of any celebration was the shared joy between family and friends. I emphasized that experiences and memories often hold far more value than anything that can be bought, and that a thoughtful gesture often leaves a more lasting impression. I suggested smaller meaningful gifts that could be cherished without causing financial strain or creating unrealistic expectations for the people who cared about her. She listened quietly and seemed to consider my words seriously for the first time, which made me feel encouraged that our conversation was going in a constructive direction. I reminded her that love and connection cannot be measured by objects and that her happiness would not be determined by the items on any list. I explained that while I could not provide everything she had asked for, I wanted to contribute in a meaningful way that would make her feel truly valued. I offered an alternative idea, suggesting that we could spend time together creating a gift or experience that would be remembered far longer than any object could last. I proposed planning a small trip or a shared celebration where we could make memories that would be part of our story rather than part of her wardrobe or car collection. She seemed thoughtful and asked questions about how we could make such a plan enjoyable and memorable without focusing on material value. I shared ideas for activities and experiences that she loved, emphasizing that personal attention and time often mean more than expensive items. I reminded her that weddings are meant to celebrate love and unity, and that focusing on relationships rather than possessions would make the day even more special. I encouraged her to think about the feelings of those giving gifts and how they might want to participate in a meaningful way rather than being judged by monetary expectations. She paused and admitted that she had never thought about it from this perspective and that my words made her see the situation differently. She laughed softly and agreed that our bond as siblings mattered far more than anything she could ask for from others. I felt relief and gratitude that we were having an honest conversation that strengthened our understanding rather than creating tension or resentment. We discussed practical ways to make the wedding gifts personal, meaningful, and memorable without relying on expensive purchases. I suggested we could craft something together or even compile a photo album or a handwritten collection of memories that would last a lifetime. She smiled at the idea and seemed genuinely excited about the possibility of creating something that had emotional value rather than monetary value. I reminded her that the best gifts often come from the heart and that love cannot be weighed or measured by the cost of objects. She thanked me sincerely for being honest and for guiding her in a way that did not diminish her excitement but instead made it more thoughtful. We brainstormed several creative alternatives to the list she had initially made and felt excited about the possibilities that focused on connection and joy. I felt proud that I could help her see that generosity is not about giving expensive things but about sharing love, time, and thoughtfulness. She admitted that she had learned an important lesson about expectations and gratitude, and that this conversation had made her reflect deeply on her approach to gifts. I encouraged her to keep a sense of humor and fun in her plans, but also to prioritize meaningful gestures over material desires. We ended the conversation with a shared plan to create something special together, knowing that the memory of the act would outlast any item. I realized that this discussion had strengthened our relationship and given her a perspective that might serve her well for the rest of her life. She expressed relief and gratitude for my honesty and for the way I had approached the conversation with care and understanding. I felt a sense of peace knowing that we had communicated clearly and that she felt supported rather than judged. We agreed that our focus would be on celebrating love and family rather than on checking off expensive items from a list. She laughed at the thought that she had been overly ambitious in her requests and admitted that this was a valuable learning moment for her. I felt joy knowing that she would carry these lessons forward and that we had strengthened our bond through honest conversation. We closed the discussion feeling happy, connected, and ready to make the wedding a celebration of love rather than possessions. I reflected on the importance of guiding loved ones with patience and understanding and felt grateful for the opportunity to do so. She expressed excitement for the meaningful experiences we would share and thanked me again for helping her see the true value of gifts. I smiled and reminded her that the best gifts are not always the most expensive, but are the ones that come from the heart and leave lasting memories. I knew that this conversation would stay with both of us and serve as a reminder that love and connection are what truly matter in life.